Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Friday episode of the Permission to Love podcast, where I share mindset tips to take you into your weekend. I'm your host, Jerry Henderson, and I want to say thank you for being here and thank you for taking time to invest in your mindset. Your mindset is one of the most important things in your life because it affects the way that you see yourself, the way you see others, and how you see life itself. So today, I want to talk about the connection between our mind, our emotions, and our bodies. Research shows that one of the quickest ways to change your mood is by changing your physiology, because your brain is constantly picking up signals from the way that you carry yourself, your posture, your movement, and your facial expressions. And as your brain picks up those signals, it begins to produce chemicals in your body that match the way that you're carrying yourself, the expression on your face, and so it creates somewhat of a loop in your system. Now, I do want to point out, of course, this relationship is bidirectional. When you feel bad or you're unmotivated or you're experiencing challenges in life emotionally, your body has a tendency to start constricting. You begin to slump over. You begin to feel tired. Your face begins to express what you feel internally. And then because your brain is picking up all those signals, it's reinforcing all of that with more chemicals, more mood changes. And so, as I said, we kind of get stuck in a loop. And one of the quickest ways that we can break that loop is through our bodies. And in particular, changing our position, our posture, and our facial expressions. So here's 3 quick tips on how you can begin to do that. Now, let's be honest. When we're struggling with things like depression or low mood, one of the last things that we want to do is try to put energy into movement or into changing our posture or putting a happier expression on our face. But the research is clear. If we'll begin to do those things, it will begin to change our mood. It'll put us in a better state of well-being. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not talking about denying the way that you feel or putting on a fake smile so that we can appear to others like we're okay. I'm talking about using these things as a tool to improve the way that we feel and a tool to train us so that we can get out of those slumps when we find ourselves in them. So let's talk about the first one of changing our position. So when you find yourself in a low state of mood, one of the things that you can do is get your body moving. That can be as simple as taking a walk, or it can be jumping jacks, or it can be push-ups, or whatever works for you to get your body in movement. Because when your body is moving, it releases things like endorphins. And it also has an impact on our BDNF, which is our brain-derived neurotropic factors, which are releasing chemicals in your body. And long-term sustained release of these BDNFs can actually change your brain structure. And even though it may be the last thing that you want to do, one of the best things you can do is get yourself moving. And I remember my own struggle with this at a time in my life when I was extremely depressed and it was so difficult to even get the motivation to get out of bed. And I literally had to force myself, drag myself out of that bed and go take a walk around the block. And I started with very small walks, very small things. And I just began to keep at it. And over a period of time, I began to see the positive impact that it was having on my overall mood. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is posture. When we are feeling upset or we're in a low mood, we typically slump over, we begin to constrict our bodies, we begin to play small, and all of that, once again, is feeding signals to our brains that we're not doing so good. And so if you're in a state of feeling unmotivated, sad, upset, or whatever it is that you're going through, if you'll simply change your posture, stand up straight, put your shoulders back, or you can try the Superwoman Superman stance, which is where you stand up, you put your feet apart, you can take your hands and you put them on your hips, and you stand in a position that we would all be familiar with when we think about Superwoman or Superman. And what that is doing is communicating to your brain a sense of confidence and a sense of strength, and it will actually change your mood. Now, the third and last factor I want to talk about is our facial expressions. Now, there's a lot of research about how we'll have an experience, and one of the first things that happens to us is we create a facial expression, and then that facial expression is interpreted and communicated by the brain, and then feelings and emotions begin to come up which match that facial expression, which then puts us in a certain state, which then drives certain behaviors or consequences from that experience that we just had. But it's fascinating when you understand that one of the first things that happens when you have an experience is a facial expression. And of course, it is bidirectional that when we feel good, our face can match that. But the research is clear. One of the first things that begins to activate our emotions is the facial expression that we develop from the experience that we just had. And further research on this has shown that we can disrupt that cycle by changing our facial expressions. You can actually trick your brain into feeling positive emotions simply by changing your facial expressions. And one of the key things that we can do is smile. Smiling is a powerful antidote to negative feelings. When we put on a smile, our brain begins to get the signal that we have something to be happy about. And so it will begin to produce emotions to match that facial expression that we're having. So basically your brain is saying, hey, we have some reasons to feel good, so let's go ahead and feel good. Let's produce the chemicals that we produce when we're feeling good. And then that sense of feeling good can then turn that into a very genuine smile for us. So just think about when you've been around somebody who started to laugh, and then all of a sudden you caught their laugh. They talk about laughter being contagious because it is. Well, in many senses, that's what's happening. Your smile is rubbing off on your brain, and your brain is making that association. And so your brain catches the happiness from your smile, sends the signal to your body that we have a reason to smile, and it will actually convert it into a genuine smile, and you'll start to feel better. So if you're struggling to stay in a good mood, or you're finding yourself in those bouts where you just kind of feel down, or you're really struggling to get motivation for your day and get forward momentum, I want to encourage you to try those 3 things. Number 1, change your position by getting your body moving. Number 2, changing your posture. And number 3, changing your facial expression. And I think you'll find that your change in physiology, or the change in your body or your physical body, will have a dramatic impact on your mood. So give it a try, and I'd love to hear from you on how it's working for you. You can reach me at my email address, which is jerry@jerryhenderson.org, or you can reach out to me on Instagram. My handle there is @JerryAHenderson. And don't forget, if you need resources to help you on your journey, you can see the show notes in this episode, or you can visit my website at jerryhenderson.org. Well, thank you for being here and taking your time to listen to this episode. And remember, your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship that you have. So be kind to yourself.